Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Jesus Girl Gang Kingdom Business Podcast. I'm your host, Christian business coach and online launch strategist, Erica Pyle. And today we are stepping into our second episode in a series called How to Go From Dream to Do. How to Go From Dream to Do. So, I wanted to just remind you of where we've been so far in this series. And really, it's just we introduced last week our How to Go From Dream to Do workbook that is out there for you. I want to encourage you, go grab the workbook. You can get it at ericapyle.com/dream to do. ericapyle.com/dream to do. And once you download that, you are going to have in your hands the workbook that we're going to be working through together for a few weeks here, probably like 4 weeks, because there's 3 steps in this process. And yeah, and I'm just trying to decide if I want my microphone in the shot, not in the shot. It's kind of distracting me. So yeah, so go get the worksheet, go get the workbook. And in the meantime, I just want to chat to you a little bit about what we're doing here. So if you are new to the podcast, if you've never listened to me before, we are kind of in the beginnings of launching this podcast. I used to have another podcast called Position to Prosper. And a few months ago, I decided that I wanted to do one that was more aligned with the Christian woman, Christian entrepreneur who wants to start and scale a business online, and either she's just starting out, like she's never really gotten started, or she's started and she's strategy switched and she's swirling and she's trying all kinds of things and not getting any traction. And she's like, I really need to figure out how to make this work. If that's you, you are my girl. And the thing that I wanted that was most important to me about this podcast is that it would be a place where we could do it together. So I know that sounds a little weird. I've said this at the beginning of a number of these episodes, but my heart in the Kingdom Business Podcast is to ensure that there's a place where we can actually talk about these things and do this stuff together. I know that traditionally that would mean that you would have to like join a workshop or join a program or join a coaching community. And I have all those things, but I wanted to bring that done with you feel and experience into this podcast because I feel like a lot of times we don't realize at the very beginning is the best place to start to get that help, to find the community, get the coaching, get the strategy and the framework, and get building from that orderly place first. I think for some reason, as entrepreneurs, first time entrepreneurs, many of us, we think like we have to figure it out. Can I tell you something? This is a kingdom business podcast. This is not just like a, business like best practices podcast. We talk about biblical principles here, kingdom principles. And I got to tell you that nowhere in the Bible does it say to you that you need to figure anything out. In so many places, it says you need to ask God without being double minded, right? Without wavering and without doubt. You can call to him and he'll answer you and tell you great and wonderful things that you did not know. That's Jeremiah 33:3, right? He says in Jeremiah 29:11 that he has great plans for you, a future and a hope, not to harm you. And so it's like there are so many things in there that speak to, not having to figure it out, but more ask him, allow God to give us a revelation and a vision for what it is that he wants to do in and through us. And then we have to activate through faith. We have to activate through really believing what God has said to us. And I say this a lot around here. If God said it, that settles it. If God said it, that settles it. And for me, that's Isaiah 55:11. Isaiah 55:11 says it's the same with my word. It prospers wherever I send it. It does whatever I sent it to do. It does not return void. And so we've got to believe God that when he speaks a word over our lives, when he gives us a promise, and the business that he's called you to build, the business that he's called you to launch, it's a word that if he's assigned it to you, if he's called you to do it, if he's made you to be the one to launch it, then guess what, sister? That's a word. That is the word of the Lord over your life. And it's like, walk in it. Walk in it. Ephesians 2:10. It says, he created works for us to do long before we were born, that we might walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. So I want you to understand that if you are sitting here with your earbuds in or your earphones on or wherever watching me on your laptop, and I'm blowing your mind a little bit because it's like, okay, hold on a second. She's talking my language. Yeah, I'm talking Bible. I'm talking kingdom. I'm talking the way that God puts us into these moments and says, look, I've made you for this. Like Gideon, think about it. Gideon is sitting down in a wine press beating out the wheat. Why is Gideon in a wine press beating out wheat? Well, because their city is oppressed by the Midianites, and the Midianites are stealing from them any kind of food. And so he has to go down into a wine press to beat out the wheat so that no one's looking for him. He can't actually go where they normally beat out the wheat. And it's probably not a really good situation because in order to beat out wheat, you need to winnow the wheat, which means that you need to throw it up in the air and the wind has to blow through. And so he's down in this cavern, he's down in this wine press. It's like, it's not even going to work out. And yet he's like, but this is what we've got to do. And so he's this tenacious guy, but he's afraid because he doesn't want his stuff to get stolen, and he's down in this wine press. And the angel of God comes and finds him down in the wine press, and he says, hey, mighty man of valor, what is there about this man who's beating wheat down in a wine press, scared, that is giving valor? What about this picture is giving mighty man of valor? And so Gideon's like, you're talking to me? Like, look around you. Look at me. I'm like from the least family. And the angel's basically like, I didn't stutter. This is what we're going to do. And he begins to give him a vision for freeing his people from the Midianites. And what he tells him to do is something rather like crazy. He says, you're going to go to your father's house and you're going to tear down the Asherah pole. Like the whole city, the whole village is in idolatry. And his father, his family house has the pole in it. And he's like, oh my goodness. And so he's so nervous that he doesn't even go until it's the middle of the night. Yeah. And he goes and he tears it down. And then everyone in the village is like, oh, what happened? And that's just the beginning. Then he's like, okay, mighty man of valor, now you're going to free your people from the Midianites. And he's like, great. So he calls all these people together. And then God's like, yeah, nah, we don't need 10,000 people. We don't need 10,000 people. So let's bring them over to the river and let's watch how they drink water. And based on how they drink water, if they lap it up like then those are your people, and send everyone else home. And by the time that it's done, there's 300 people, 300 fighting warriors that go with Gideon, and they beat the Midianites. This is a wild story, but it was a word. It was a word that came from God, that the angel of God spoke over Gideon, and it started with mighty man of valor. When he looked nothing like it. When he looked nothing like it. So why is it that you and I, when we hear the Lord say, I want you to do this business, I have this great idea for you, I want you to help people in this way, and you're going to get online and you're going to do your business online, and people are going to come and you're going to help them, and it's going to be amazing, and you're going to make impact and income. We're like, okay, no, wait a second. I've never done anything like that before. I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never been in business. I don't know how to use social media. I haven't done anything online like that before. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know. Mighty man of valor. Great and wonderful Luke 8 lady. That's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you a Luke 8 lady. What's a Luke 8 lady? Go look at Luke 8 verses 1-3, and it tells you there are these women that used to travel with Jesus as he was ministering in the villages and the cities. And it says that these women provided for Jesus's ministry out of their own substance. What? Yes. Even back in the day of Jesus's ministry, there were women that were providing for the ministry, cash dollars, okay, or whatever their money was, out of their own substance, out of their own money. And so you and I, we're called to be Luke 8 ladies. We're called to fund the ministry of Jesus and his kingdom in the earth today. And so you are called to make impact and income in this business that God has called you to. And so the most important thing that you can hear from me right now is there is a way to do this that does not involve overwhelm and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting 15 million times. Like if God said it, that settles it. Let's get your business going. What do you think? What do you think? Because the thing is, like spinning around and going around and around and around and around the mountain over and over again, you're not getting anywhere and you're just getting worn out. God's not going to change his story. One of my favorite stories in the Bible, I think it's either in Joshua or it's in Numbers. I can't remember. It's in Joshua or it's in Numbers. But he's talking about how there are the two and a half there tribes that they'd gotten a portion, and now they're coming back to Joshua and they're going, we need more room. We need more room. And Joshua's like, God gave you room. He told you, he gave you by lot, he gave you what your area is. And they're like, yeah. And then they start to complain. They're like, well, they have chariots and they have horses and it's just really hard. And basically, Joshua says to them, God didn't stutter. He told you, take the land. And so what he's saying to them is God's not going to change his word. He's not going to change his word, but you're going to have to do the thing that God told you to do in order to unlock the word. So if he's like, yes, I'm going to give you this business and it's going to create incredible impact and income and it's going to have such a benefit to your family and into the kingdom. Well, great, but just sitting there and waiting for it to come down from the sky is never going to work. You have to actually walk in it. You have to walk it out. I call it camping your life around. If God gives you a word, you better camp your life around it because that's how the word comes to pass. Faith without works is dead. That's what James says. Faith without works is dead. So you need to do work in accordance with the faith that you have in the word that God has given you. And your business that he's called you to is a word over your life. Whew. All right. So we did some serious Bible study there for a hot second. Okay. Now, let's talk about how we apply this. So, what is the dream to do process? So, last year I was sitting and I was asking God, like, how do I help? How do I help women who know that they want to start a business or a ministry? They know that this is something that they're called to, but they just keep on getting tripped up with the mindset. They keep on getting tripped up with the self-doubt, with with like the excuses, because that's really what it is. It's like, oh well, I don't have this, like I don't have everything I need to get started. I don't have that skill set. I don't have the support from important people in my life. You just name it, okay? Because there are all these thoughts that are going to come to your brain and tell you why you can't. But you have to remember that if God says that you can, then you really should be walking it out. Because if God said so, that settles it. So we don't really have time to be sitting around and thinking about all the reasons for why we shouldn't or couldn't. And so I was asking God, like, how do I help these women? And he's like, a framework, give them a process. Because when we have a process to follow, especially if it's a kingdom process, especially if it's one that we can see echoes of it in the Bible that worked for, Jesus and for the things that God was building in the earth through his people, then it's more likely that we can just lock in and we can walk in obedience to the thing that God has called us to if we're not worrying so much about all of the distractions, the deceptions, and the despair that's probably swirling around your life. Okay. And so the biggest thing is that we're really good at doing a vision board as believers, as Christians. One of my favorite scriptures around this, and it's on the worksheet, is Habakkuk 2, verses 2-3. It says, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so that he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. And so we're good at wanting to get the vision. We're good at wanting to sit and get God to give us revelation and download and inspiration. We love that feeling. And then the next part is what gets wonky. Now we're into the place that goes, okay, but how? And here's the thing, God said to Abraham, go to a place that I will show you. And he did not show him the place for quite some time. He left. The Bible says that he was going searching for the city whose builder and maker, architect was God. So he didn't know. He just knew that God told him to get moving. And so he had some idea, but he didn't have a full picture of it. And so I need you to understand that just because when God gives you the download for this business that he's called you to build, he's not going to give you all of it. Listen, if God would have given me every piece of the vision for the business that I'm building today back 10 years ago when I started, oh, let me tell you, I'd have been like, forget it. I don't have it in the tank. Like some of the things that are happening to me right now in my business as I'm stretching and growing, even, I'm like, if you would have told 10 year ago Erica that this was going to be happening, she'd have been like, absolutely not. I am not signing up for that. Give me my 9 to 5 job over in the marketplace. Like I was very successful in the marketplace. When I exited the marketplace like 20 years ago or something, like nearly 20 years ago, I was making $500,000 a year. I had a very good job. I was traveling 5-star hotels, first class. Like it was incredible. I was doing extremely meaningful work to me. I loved my work. My work gave me life. I loved how I was helping in the world. And the only reason I left is because God said I had something else for you. So let's move it on. So bottom line is like, if I would have known what was going on today and the challenges that I would be facing today, and comparing it to where I was back then, I'd be like, just let me keep doing that. That's just so much easier. But the reality is, the fruit that's coming off of my life and the impact that I get to make as a result of the choices that I've made now in accordance with what God has called me to, absolutely night and day. Like I loved what I was doing and I was helping people, but it was so limited compared to what I get to impact and how I get to bring the kingdom forward today in what I do now. And so it's worth it. But I'm telling you, there are still days when I feel like I don't have what it takes. Do they think that I'm a fraud? Am I going to mess this up? Am I going to like leave people hanging? Is this ever going to work? Am I going to be able to make the amount of money that I thought that you told me I was going to make? Like all the things. It still happens. But the reality is, it's the same answer for me as it would be right at the beginning for you, which is, are you going to believe God at his word or not? And there are some things that can make that easier. Okay. Like making sure that you've got a community around you of like minded, like spirited individuals who are going towards a similar goal. So it's important to have that community. That's why I keep saying I want this podcast to be a place where you can come and feel like you're part of a community. You know, you can come on to Instagram and find me. I'm at Erica Pyle. Get in my DMs. Tell me what kind of a business you're looking to build. Tell me that you're a listener of the podcast. Let's get connected because I truly mean it when I say I want to do this together. I want to be a help to you. And I truly believe that when kingdom entrepreneurs are getting started and that onslaught of those negative mindsets are coming your way, you've got to have a community, a supportive, like minded, like spirited community that is going to encourage you, is going to exhort you, is going to hold you accountable in some ways and say, no, girl, get in. We're going. I saw this meme on social media. It was a picture of Jonah and the whale. Jonah's in the water, and the whale is like, "Come on, guy, let's go do the word of God." Like he's like, "I'm going to pick you up." And sometimes it feels that way. Sometimes it feels like the fish that has to grab us out because we've been ridiculous and have been running in the wrong direction. And so God sends a whale, a fish, to come pick us up and spit us out in fish vomit to do the thing that he's called us to do. Sometimes we need that level of accountability and support. And so if you're trying to do this alone, that's going to be a big limiter for you because we're not as believers, as Christians, as children of God, we're not meant to do any of this alone. We're meant to have prayer support. We're meant to find our people. You know, the way that we're meant to learn how to do things in the kingdom is through apprenticeship. That is family members training you up in how to do something excellently. And they're sharing their wisdom and they're sharing their expertise and their skill sets with you. And they're training you up in the way that you should go. So when you're old, you won't depart from it. And so that means not only the skill set and the steps, but also the character and the way, the attitude and the excellence in which we do it. And so here in this podcast and in all of my stuff. So, you know, I have a mentorship called the Jesus Girl Gang mentorship. And we implement a framework called the Build with Faith framework. And that's what I help my girls to do. But there's 5 pillars to what we do in our community. And one of those pillars is absolutely support. You need support. You need people around you that are providing encouragement and exhortation and accountability so that we can keep on going where we need to go. Then there's also obviously coaching and there's systems and strategy. And then there's like the lifestyle, the kingdom first lifestyle, which says, I'm not going to compromise on my faith, my family, my health, my sanity. I'm going to follow God no matter what as I build this business out. So as a new entrepreneur or as somebody who's been trying for a while and you keep on feeling like you're spinning and going around that same mountain over and over, you know, you have to make a decision that says, I'm going to do this first and foremost. I'm doing this. And number two, I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to find my people, and I'm going to surge alongside other like-minded, like-spirited kingdom entrepreneurs who are looking to do this with excellence. And I think that that's what you can do if you decide to subscribe here and show up every week. Let's keep going together. All right. So I wanted to talk about the first step of the dream to do process. Okay. And here's the thing. When I wrote this out last year, I called it the brain dump. Why? Because like that's not usually what I would call it. Like I would call it a vision board, but here's the thing. I think a lot of times if I call it like a vision exercise, if I say, let's write the vision and make it plain, all of a sudden in our minds, we get this level of perfection that we like, it has to look nice, or it has to be perfect. It has to be fully complete. And I don't want perfectionism to get in here. So I called it the brain dump. And there are 8 specific questions that I ask you in this section. So again, if you don't have the workbook yet, go to ericapyle.com/dream to do. It's free. Just go download it. Okay. And there are 8 questions. Now, let me show you what it looks like, because there is no way, my friend, that you can fit all your answers in those little 8 boxes. Okay. Look, I knew that, but I also know my girl. I also know you. And I know that you got yourself a notebook for this exercise, right? I told you a while ago, you should have a notebook just for this podcast. This is like your course. Okay. So get yourself a fresh, clean notebook. Okay. I love these, by the way. They're hard to come by these days, but I found some on Amazon. They're Design Works Inc. is the name of them, but I love them. I like, I don't know. I just love them. But anyway, I'm a notebook junkie. I love beautiful notebooks, and I'm a Flair pen girl. I don't know how you feel about that, but I have I have all the colors, and I just like to have different colors for different things. So I have like a whole, that's my jam. All right. So I would encourage you to have a notebook that you're using for this podcast. And right now we're in the middle of the dream to do exercise, and it's step 1. And so what I would tell you is we're going to go through these 8 questions. I would treat each of these boxes as a page, at least a page. And I would brain dump. So I would create a page for each one of these questions, and I would just like dump all your thoughts, everything that's coming to you onto that sheet of paper. Okay. This is not meant to be a pretty thing. I understand some of you like to make it pretty. And listen, I like making pretty things too, but this is not that moment. Right now, what we need to do is we need to get everything out of our brain and onto the paper, because the next step is we're going to start actioning things. And I don't want you to have any excuses about why you can't get started moving. And a lot of times when we make things all pretty, and then it's like, oh, well, I forgot that, or, oh, I don't want to mess that up, or, oh, I don't know how that's supposed to work. Listen, we just need a brain dump. We just need all the information in the notebook so that we can start to organize it and get moving. That's the goal. Okay. Now, I will tell you that there's a couple concepts here. We're going to go through the questions, but there is a parking lot concept that I want to remind you of. So most times your roadblocks and objections when you're doing an exercise like this just need to be acknowledged. So if you start to answer these questions and you're like, but I don't know about that piece because I don't have this. I don't have this resource. I don't have this connection. I don't have this skill set. God hasn't shown me exactly how to do that. I just know that I need a platform to put this all on, but I don't even know all the pieces that need to be in the platform yet. Okay, don't let that stop you. Sometimes those sorts of things just need to be acknowledged. Like, I see you, I hear you. And by writing them down in a specific area of your notebook, call it the parking lot, you can acknowledge these things, but you can still keep moving forward and resolve them along the way. So if you're going to get your notebook out and you're going to put your 8 pages, you're going to title your 8 pages with the questions, then get a 9th page and put parking lot on top of it. This is the page where you're going to write all of the objections, all the problems, all the things. So it's like, well, like maybe as you're doing the questions, you realize like, I'm going to need an investment of like $2,000 to do this. Okay, well, I'd have to talk to my husband about that, let's say. Well, my husband isn't really like into what I'm doing right now. Oh, so now I stop because I'm like, I don't think he gets what I'm trying to do. And I don't think we have the 2000. So, you know what? I shouldn't even be doing this exercise right now. Let me shut Erica off. Let me close the notebook. No, 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 no. You're going to put that in the parking lot. Put it in the parking lot. Put it in the parking lot. All right. And keep going. So, what are the questions? Well, it starts right here with summarize the dream or vision in 1 to 2 sentences. Now, I know that that's really hard for some of us because it's like, no, it's this bigger thing. And then it's like, okay, fine. So put that summarize the dream or vision on the first page. Okay. And then write down, brain dump all the things. What is the dream or the vision that God has given you about this business that he's called you to begin? Or that you're already started in. And it's like, you need to just remember what God has said about it. Go ahead and write it down. That's page 1. Page 2, who does this idea help or serve? Who's the person? Who's God called you to serve? Listen, everything is going to come down to people. It's going to come down to who has God called you to serve. So even if you know how you help, even if you have a particular product or a particular, service or something that you know you're meant to do, there are going to be a specific people group that God wants you to get that to. You are not called to serve everybody. You're not. I mean, even Jesus said, I didn't come for everybody. I came for the people of God. I know. And it offended people, right? And that Syrophoenician woman was like, listen, even the dogs eat scraps from the table after Jesus called her a dog. I'm like, are you kidding me? But then he said, faith, let's do it, right? And so he identified what was his subset? His subset was the people of Israel, the people of God, and also those who would operate in faith. And so she got in, as did the centurion guy who was like, I haven't seen faith like this in all of Israel, right? So it's like there is a people group that you're called to. You're not called to serve everybody. And if you're talking to everybody and trying to serve everybody, you will talk to and serve no one. And so it's really important like that you get that. Years ago, I had to get really clear on who I wanted to serve. I want to serve the ambitious, multi-passionate Christian woman who is a self-motivator. She's a go-getter. She tends towards overwhelm and burnout because of it, but she's my girl and I can help her to know how to operate at that high level of performance and productivity without burning out. And that I love doing that because I'm an expert in process. And so I can help you to implement process that is both biblical and kingdom like aligned, but also works so that you don't burn out anymore. And I can help you to get all the plates of your life spinning together. Like people come into my mentorship and they think, oh, some people are like, oh, I thought that this was just like a really kingdom focused business entrepreneurship kind of mentorship. It is, but I'm also going to talk to you about your relationships, about your marriage, about your parenting, about your health, about your finances. I'm talking to you about all of it. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I am a CPA retired. That was what I did. I am a master's of science in taxation. I have a whole ministry built around personal finance for the Christian, kingdom finances, how to get out of debt, how to plan, how to budget, how to do all the things, how to build your net worth. So like, I got you. I got you. But I think that sometimes we don't realize like you gotta start thinking about the person that you're called to serve, because this is going to have big impact into how you build your business right from the ground up. Okay. 3rd page. Why are you the girl for the job? What has God said? What skills, gifts, passions make you the perfect one to build this business that God has called you to? You need to take a moment and just let the Lord brag on you. You need to let the Lord remind you of all the things that you are perfectly designed for so that you can do this assignment. And I know you might be like, that's a little uncomfortable. But here's the thing, on days when the self-doubt tries to get you, on days when the haters come for you and they try to complain and tell you all the things that you're not, you're going to need this piece of paper. You're going to need this page of the brain dump to go, but you know what? This is who God made me to be. I don't quit. That's who God made me to be. He made me to be a breaker. I hold on to the hem of his garment, and Micah 2:13 says that he's the big B breaker. And if I'll just keep on holding on, I will get to breakthrough. And then I get to be a girl who holds the wall open for others so that they can step through too. And that gives my soul life. I sing, like I am just like so alive. And so I need to remember that I am resilient. I need to remember that I'm steadfast. I need to remember that I don't quit, that I'm empowered by the Spirit of God and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This is like a core verse for me. So, you've got to know why are you the girl for the job? Why are you the girl for the job? I was having a moment this past week because I was thinking to myself, I'm pitching a new offer or an updated offer at the end of the year. And I was like, okay, but I'm not a multi seven figure earner in this space. Why is anyone going to want to follow me? And the Lord reminded me, he's like, Erica, in this market right now, people aren't looking for the ones that are 7, 8, 9 figure earners. They're out of touch. They're tone deaf. They don't know what's really going on in this market. They don't know what it's really like to have to start and scale a business in this market. He's like, but you do. You just did it. You've been doing it for the last 3 years and you've been doing it consistently and you've been doing it successfully and you've helped others to do it too. So don't let that self-doubt come in and get you because it will start to serve you ideas that aren't even true. I'm like sitting here comparing myself with people that have these multi-million dollar businesses. And it's like, I want to help the girl who's just starting out. I want to help the one who's trying to make a $1,000 month turn into a $5,000 month, turn into a $10,000 month. Like that's my lane. That's my lane. Let me get you started without overwhelm and get you being consistent. And then we'll grow it a little bit. We'll get you consistent and then we'll scale again and we'll get you to that 10,000 a month so that now you're in 6-figure territory for the year. And then we can think about like, okay, what's next? Okay. So you've got to have that page that reminds you why you're God's girl for the job. Okay. Page number 4. How do you see yourself delivering what you have to offer to your person? So this really speaks to what vehicle is God going to use to get your product or service to your person. Okay. So is this a course? Is it coaching? Is it a digital product? Is it a physical product? Is it a book? Is it a blog? Is it a podcast? Like, what are we doing? What's the vehicle? And I would encourage you, like on this page, go ahead and put all the ways because I can tell you unequivocally, every time I have conversations with people about this, my girls, my people who ultimately come into my programs and into my membership, they're like, they're very fast to tell you, oh, this is multifaceted. Of course it is, because that's who I talk to. That's who I coach is multi-passionate, ambitious Christian women, entrepreneurs. Okay. So I'm not afraid of the fact that God has given you like multiple ideas. And I'm really good at helping you hone in on what one to pick first, what one to build first. So go ahead, brain dump. If you need to be like, well, it's going to be a podcast and it's going to be a book and it's going to be coaching and it's going to have a great, because that's how it worked for me too. That's how it worked for me too. I started out with digital products course. Then I did a membership and then I realized it was in the wrong area. So I canceled it. I gave all the money back. That was a few $1,000s that I took in and then gave back because I was like, oh, didn't get that right. And then I did some physical products, some MLM, really like that. And then worked that in, but then went back to the courses. And then eventually I landed on what I like to do now, which is I do workshops that are low cost that really help women. Like my workshops, even though they will offer you something else after the workshop, my workshops are standalone and they do help you. And they like if you just took the workshop, you would be blessed and you could implement something into your business. And that's very important to me. So I have these low ticket workshops with a VIP tier. So if you want to do some coaching, I always make sure that I have that tier available, even in my workshops. And then I go into a product. So I have a signature course called the Jesus Girls Business Blueprint. It's an 8-module step-by-step build your business, like build your business in a box kind of situation. I provide you with a platform and I provide you with the Build with Faith framework. And I take you step-by-step through it. And I show you how to even build all the tech out. And by the end of the 8 weeks, you're ready to launch something, be it an opt-in, a low ticket, or your core offer. So that's that. And then from there, I then invite people into my membership. And on times when we're not live launching the course, I'll even invite people from workshop into my membership. and they can do the signature course self-paced until we do the next live round. So that's how I do it. That's my vehicle. But listen, oh, and I have a podcast, obviously. Here I am. And I have a blog. So I post all of my podcasts onto my blog. So do you see? Like, it's multi-passion and it's okay, but you have to start somewhere. But I think get everything onto the page first, and then we can figure out where to get started. And I'm really good at helping people to figure out where to start. I'll be a great advocate for you and help when you get to that point. Page number 5 is this a business or a ministry? Is it a nonprofit or a for-profit? We just need to get really clear on that, because for some of you, like, it's easy to have a business that has ministerial vibes to it, but understand it's really hard to say I want to have a ministry and then try to make it run like a business. I would always say to people, like, look, if you're struggling with, is this a business or is it a ministry? I would encourage you to make it a business that has a heart for ministering, a ministry heart. I call it a business tree. That's what my business is a business tree, because there's a lot more flexibility. And quite frankly, I love raising up Luke 8 ladies, women who can provide for the ministry of Jesus and his kingdom out of their substance. And when you do a not-for-profit, there's a lot of like boundaries around how to use that money. There's a lot of regulation and a lot of rules around how to use that money, because they want you to steward it as a not-for-profit, because there are tax benefits to that, right? So I generally tell people, like, if it's a toss up, if you don't know for certain that it's a ministry, that God's saying it has to be a ministry, then let's make it a business and let's find a way to make it make money. And then you can figure out how to then empower or support the people group that you're looking to support that way. But write that down. Page number 6, who inspires you? Do you have any brand inspiration? Anyone around you that's doing something in a similar lane who's inspiring you to get started? This is where I want you to start looking for brand models. This doesn't mean that you're going to do it exactly like them. It doesn't mean that, like, you're copying somebody. It's just that Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. And it's true. And you don't need to be worried about the fact that someone else is doing what you want to do. What that means is that there's a market for it. That's a really good thing. If you can find someone out there who's doing something similar to you or just like what you want to do, that's a good thing. It's not, the market is not saturated, because there's no one that's exactly like you. So the way you're going to do it, the spin you're going to bring to it, the flavor you're going to bring to it is going to be completely different. And so I've got someone in my niche who is like so close to what I do. And it's like, it's uncanny. I'm not copying her. I've even taken courses from her. It's just, this is what God has put in me. And so as it's coming out of me, I'm like, every now and then I'll look over at her brand and I'll be like, whoa, that's uncanny how similar it is what we're doing. But there is a major difference between our brands. And for me, it's that I actually am very focused on process and getting in the trenches with my people. And that's just not something that her brand does. She's got a slightly different spin on it. And so I've learned, like, even though if someone's looking at our two brands next to one another, they might be like, wow, these look really similar. They look really similar. But if you dig in, you'll start to see, oh, if I'm the kind of person who wants to major on process and wants to actually have the biblical stuff like talked about every day, all the time, and I want Erica in my business, like I want Erica actually to get in there with me, then I'm going to go with Erica's brand, because that's more aligned with what I want. And I'm okay with that. But still, I mean, I look at brand models. I look at other people and what they're doing, because it does give you an indicator of what's working. You can kind of see what's working, and it gives you ideas. So I would say go for it. Look around you and see if there are any other brands that inspire you, people that are doing something similar to you. Page number 7 would be, what about the fun stuff? Do you already see colors, fonts, creative ideas for what you'd build? Like, do you already see your website? Do you already see like what your social media vibe would be like? Or if you're going to do a YouTube channel, do you already have an idea for the creative on that? Go ahead and dump all of those creative ideas there, because here's the thing, we can tend to get stuck in that place, and we can tend to buffer. Like if we get nervous and we don't know what to do next, we could find ourselves like gravitating towards just wanting to do fonts and colors and a mood board. But the reality is it's important to write that stuff down. Have a place where you put it down. Go ahead and create that on page 7. And then page 8, what roadblocks, objections, I don't knows still remain. Let's write them down to get them out of the way so we can keep going. So I think it's important. The parking lot is out there, right? But also, I think this could be your parking lot, the page 8, but I think that objections, like slightly different, like the lies that we believe or the thoughts that are being offered that are negative, we might consider those more like roadblocks. The parking lot concept is like, this is a big idea that I have to unpack. This is something I have to figure out. So I don't know, you could have pages 8 and 9, or you could do your parking lot on page 8, and it could all be one page. Doesn't matter. All right. The last thing on this section is these 2 questions, or these 2 prompts to finish. It says, if I don't act now on this idea, I'm concerned this may happen. And then, but if I do act now on this idea and build it with God, I believe this will happen. These are very powerful prompts. And so I encourage you to finish that out. All right. So listen, you want to go ahead and grab your own copy of the workbook at ericapyle.com/dream to do. And your homework, your mini activation step for this week is to get into the workbook and complete step 1. All right. So I want you to do that. And if you want to do a little bit of bonus work, well, bonus, all right, I want you to DM me on Instagram, and I want you to share this with me. What is your kingdom business about? Who are you serving? And one thing you know for sure about your business in 2026. All right. Get to me in the DMs of Instagram. Tell me, what's your kingdom business about? Who are you serving? And one thing you know for sure about your business in 2026. All right. Listen, you are not starting from scratch here. I get it. Like you might be thinking, oh, I've done this exercise before. No, you didn't do it like this. You did not do it with this level of support. You didn't do it with this level of, I know what the next step is, and I'm going to lead you into it next week. Okay. You're not alone in this. You're not starting from scratch, but you are infusing with faith in this step. And I'm going to make sure that we keep on moving forward together. Okay. So the next step is to get this vision out of your head and into the workbook. And then we'll keep on going, because next week, step 2, we're going to be talking about creating, I'm going to tell you exactly what it's called because it's in the workbook. The basics checklist. So we're going to start to go into the basics checklist, which is basically a watered down version of my Build with Faith framework. So I'm going to be handing you that, and we're going to be talking through that. Okay. So definitely download the Dream to Do workbook so that you can do your assignment this week. It's at ericapyle.com/dream to do. And then I want to encourage you to get on the wait list for the workshop that I have coming up. It's called the Jesus Girl Gang Plan Your Year Workshop. So in this workshop, it's going to be a 90-minute workshop, 90 minutes, 2 hours. We'll see. It is going to be a workshop where I'm going to help you to plan your launch schedule for the year and your revenue plan for the whole year. And I'm going to also infuse into it like goal setting, biblical goal setting, like kingdom-minded goal setting and milestones, and how to think about that kind of stuff. I'm going to talk to you about stewarding your time well, and strategies for making sure that as you step into 2026, you can build the thing that God has called you to build, and that we can put a plan together for you so that you can take it step by step by step and see the promise of God just expand right before you. Wouldn't that be cool? So get on the wait list for that workshop, because if you're on the wait list, I will send out an early bird discount code. It's the workshop is never more than $27, and then we'll have a VIP option. So I don't even know. I don't even know what the discount would be. It's already so cheap, but I do want to give you a little something for getting on the wait list. So go to ericapyle.com/plan your year. If you go to ericapyle.com/plan your year, I will make sure that you know when the registration opens for Plan Your Year, and I'll give you a little discount for getting on the wait list. Sound good? All right, friend, that's what I have for this week. Make sure you go get your Dream to Do workbook. Yeah, ericapyle.com/dream to do. Make sure you get on the Plan Your Year wait list, ericapyle.com/plan your year. And then come find me on Instagram. I'm at Erica Pyle. Come tell me in the DMs about your business, and go do your activation step. and I'll see you back here next week. It's not going to be the same day or same time because it's Wednesday today. We're going to be doing it on Thursday again, Thursday at 3 p.m. So I'll see you here on YouTube Thursday, 3 p.m. Or if you miss it, I'm on all the podcasting platforms. So I'll see you next week, friend. Have a good one. Bye for now.